The World Health Organization is about to declare that aspartame, an artificial sweetener, may cause cancer. It's a move that's generated a lot of confusion. So let's back up and figure out what aspartame is. Aspartame is in a lot of products, like diet pop and sugar-free gum. It's even in yogurt. Chances are we all have products with aspartame in them in our fridge and pantry right now. The sweetener was discovered in the 60s when a chemist licked his finger while reaching for paper in his lab. Sweetness overwhelmed his tongue, and he eventually traced the sensation back to a beaker full of 2 naturally occurring amino acids. He studied the contents further, and ultimately, aspartame was discovered. Today, it's a sweet additive that has been deemed safe for use by national agencies like Health Canada and the US Food and Drug Administration. Back in 1981, the WHO said that the additive is safe to use within acceptable daily limits. For example, the WHO determined that depending on the amount of aspartame in a single can of pop, an adult who weighs 60 kilograms or 132 pounds would have to drink 12 to 36 cans of soda per day to be at risk.
Introducing Diet Coke. You're gonna drink it just for the taste of it.
1981 is also the year that Canada approved the low-calorie artificial sweetener for use. Aspartame has since made it into our desserts and cereals, and even as a tabletop sweetener that we can put in our coffee. According to Health Canada, there is no reason to believe that aspartame poses a health hazard to consumers if it is part of a well-balanced diet. That said, the ongoing aspartame debate is confusing, and it's hard to keep track of what it's in. So we spoke with a dietitian to learn more. First of all, what is aspartame and why is it used?
Well, essentially it's a non-nutritive sweetener, so it doesn't provide any calories or any energy to the foods that you would find it in. In its most chemical form, it's simple. It's just 2 amino acids, phenylalanine and aspartic acid. It's something that we can metabolize, we can excrete, we can get rid of it, but it is one of those non-nutritive sweeteners that we're just finding in more and more foods right now.
Yeah, well, I usually think of Diet Coke when I'm thinking of aspartame, but you're holding, for example, Crystal Light. Can you tell me a little bit about, all of the different things we can find aspartame or other artificial sweeteners in?
Well, whether it's aspartame or ACE-K, sucralose or Splenda, for example, even stevia, we're seeing more and more in a variety of different foods. And, more often than not, we might see diet or low calorie or no sugar added on the label as well. But it is often in foods that we may or may not think of. So typically our beverages, we want, not everyone wants to drink their calories or liquid candy. And just as a part of this anti-sugar or no sugar movement, this is the surge that we're seeing, right, in the alternatives. And everything from yogurt to, some of your even no added sugar syrups and that sort of thing. You really do, if it's of pause for concern for you, or if you want to think of foods that have less additives in it, you look at your label for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing yogurt. We've also, got Jell-O, which seems to be a common one.
What the common thread is that they tend to be processed or ultra-processed foods, right? So, if we're thinking about our general goals around healthy eating and maybe stepping towards more whole foods, if we're reducing our total processed food intake at the end of the day, then in a way we're controlling our intake of non-nutritive sweeteners as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because not all of it, but some of this food doesn't strike me as healthy, but is that the aspartame's fault, or?
Well, diet foods, depending on what we're talking about, I mean, our yogurt might have some calcium fortified, vitamin D, depending on the variety. All foods fit, especially when you're talking to a dietitian in terms of food motto and that sort of thing. But when you have foods that are marketed based on what they do not contain, low fat, low sugar, low sodium, that sort of thing, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're any better for us. They might actually be, depriving us of some of the nutrients that we do need.
It's important to remember that even the WHO says that right now, this news marks a really good starting point for more research into aspartame.